Welcome back to another video by Chefstiny. Today we are making Korean style beef ribs. I appreciate you guys joining me again. Make sure you're following me on Instagram and TikTok too under the name Chefstiny. So we're going to start with our spare ribs here. Make sure that you go in first and foremost and cut as much fat off the back of the ribs as you can. This will help it cook better. It will help it taste better. It will help the marinade seep all up and through your meat. Just trust me. Next, you're going to cut the ribs into individuals. You can cook it all together, but I prefer to cook it like this. You're going to add all of your ribs to a mixing bowl so that we can go ahead and add our seasonings. So first off, I'm going to stab a bunch of holes in the meat to make sure the marinade gets through. Then I'm going to add some fresh garlic. I love garlic, so that's about 6 or 7 cloves worth. Next, we're going to add our dry seasonings. I did add onion powder, white pepper, ginger powder, black pepper. I'm going to go in with this Scott's Santa Maria seasoning. I like it because it has a nice smoky taste, even though it's salt and pepper. White sugar, and then we're going to add a little bit of brown sugar as well. And then next we're going to add our wet ingredients. The first thing I'm adding is gochujang paste from Trader Joe's. It's very strong, so you only want to add a little bit. And then next is the sesame oil, the soy ponzu, which is pretty much soy sauce, and then teriyaki sauce, which has miso paste and gochujang in it. I'm also adding a little bit of oyster sauce and then Trader Joe's chili onion oil. After you add all of your ingredients, you want to mix it really well. Make sure that everything is evenly coated, and then you're going to either refrigerate it overnight or just for a couple of hours, maybe 3 or 4 hours. Next, I'm going to bake them for about 20 minutes on 385 just to make sure they cook all the way through. Before I bake them, I cover them with aluminum foil to make sure that steam gets trapped and it helps to cook our meat through. And this is what our ribs look like after about 20 minutes of baking. So I'm going to flip them all over and add a little bit of extra marinade on top. And then we're going to start the broiling process. Now, this part is important and you have to be careful. I'm going to use the low broil setting, but every oven is different. So make sure that you are watching your ribs so that they do not burn. I checked in on mine about every 5-ish minutes. Each time that I check in on the ribs, I am using some of the marinade off the bottom and I am spreading it on top. This is what the ribs look like after about my 3rd check-in. These are starting to look like they're almost ready, so I'm going to flip them again so that the back side of the ribs can cook evenly as well. I am only going to cook it on this side once, so I am going to keep them in the oven on low broil for about 8 minutes. This is what the ribs looked like after that 8 minutes on the back side. I'm going to flip them one more time and give it one last 5-minute run. Now that the ribs are all done cooking, it's important to get all of that oil and garlic off of the bottom and spread it over the ribs. It's full of flavor. It's sesame oil, it's chili oil, it's now garlic oil because it's been cooking so long. So make sure you spread that all over your ribs. Lastly, I am going to garnish the ribs with some sesame seeds and some fresh cut green onions. And here we have it, our beautiful Korean style beef spare ribs cooked in the oven. This was my first time cooking beef spare ribs, but let me tell you, it won't be my last. These were so good, so flavorful. That sauce and seasoning done to perfection. Now for plating, I did put the beef rib over rice and eventually I added some vegetables too. I sprinkled some of the chili oil from the bottom of the rib pan onto the rice and it was delicious. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope that if you decide to make this recipe, you love it just as much as I do. Make sure that you subscribe to me here on YouTube so you can see any further recipes to come. Make sure you also follow me on Instagram at Chefstiny and TikTok at Chefstiny as well. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. We'll see you next time.